Hi kiddos, Hetzel here coming at you today with some information on our new unit. Unit 6 will be on the book Night by Elie Wiesel, and I just want to give you a little perspective about our book and about the unit and really just kind of prepare you for what we're about to read. The book Night by Elie Wiesel is a book that could very well change your life. It can change your life because it will change your perspective on humanity. It will change your perspective on the human experience and the worth of a human life. When I talk to my former students, both summer school and regular traditional throughout the year school, my students always come back to me and say that Night was the most powerful unit that we did together. And I really want to take this opportunity to kind of prepare you for what you're going to read, because it is a very true story. It is a memoir. We'll get more into that in a little bit, but this book is very difficult to read. It's not difficult to read because of the words on the page. It's difficult to read because of the story it's telling. Night is a very true book. It is a memoir, like I said, about Elie Wiesel's time in a concentration camp. And in the middle of World War II, really, this book can really take a hold of you and make you see things in a different light. So one of the quotes that I want you to be thinking about as we start to read this book and throughout our unit is Elie Wiesel really believes that human suffering anywhere concerns men and women everywhere. Meaning that if one person is suffering, then the rest of us need to pull together to help that person. And so this is going to be a theme that you're seeing throughout the novel. Let's see. So again, this story is a true story. It's a memoir, and it's a lesson to learn. This is your lesson to learn. This is Elie Wiesel's story. It's his memoir. A memoir, guys, remember, is a true story that happens to a person, and it's not their entire life, but it's a snippet of their life. So think about, like, if we were going to do a memoir on Barack Obama, we wouldn't start our memoir with his childhood, and we wouldn't end his memoir with his death. We would pick one area of his life to study. So if we were doing a memoir on Barack Obama, we might want to choose the 8 years that he was the president of the United States. So it's not the whole story, it's a snippet, but it's an important snippet. So kind of remember that. This book is probably going to be very different than any book you've ever read before, and that's because it is the author's perspective on humanity and his view on World War II and the Holocaust. And remember, the Holocaust was the genocide of an entire race of people almost. And we're talking 6 million Jews and Gypsies and other members of a class of people that Hitler decided was a lesser quality of human. And the story is your lesson to learn. This story is yours to take and to understand and to walk away with, knowing that if one person is suffering, we're all suffering. And so it's how humanity can come together, and how the human race as a whole can be so much more powerful if we bonded together rather than tore each other apart. So let's see. Again, it's the lesson on humanity. All right, but let's start getting into a little bit of the actual history of the book. Eliezer Wiesel was born in 1928 in Romania, and this was him right about your age now. He was thrown into a concentration camp right about the age of 15. So as you're reading this story, I want you to come to the book with your perspective. Like, what if you were in his shoes? What if you were one of the Jews being brought into the concentration camp? Would you have been sent to the left to be a worker, or would you have been sent to the right to go straight to the gas chambers? Think about that as you're reading this book. And this is his story of when he was at Auschwitz. All right, so Here we see a picture of some concentration camp members at Auschwitz. The red circled one is actually Elie Wiesel. You can see that these men were living in bunks, 3 and 4 people to a bunk, in very, very poor conditions. Elie Wiesel lived from September 30th, 1928 to July 2nd of 2016. He just passed away last summer. He was an author, he was a professor, he's a speaker, and he was a political activist. If I had to choose a favorite person of all time, Elie Wiesel very well might be my person. The book Night takes place in World War II from 1939 to 1945 in Eastern Europe during the Holocaust. What you see on this map right here, way down over here is Poland, or I'm sorry, not Poland, Romania. And Romania is where Elie Wiesel was born, and then he was trained, put on a train all the way up here into Poland, into Auschwitz. All right, so he went from Romania all the way to Poland, and these, the swastikas on the map actually show the different death camps and concentration camps throughout Eastern Europe, and Auschwitz was by far the biggest. And when we start reading and we start getting into some of the materials for this week, please make sure you watch the videos so that you can get a personal account and a visual of the space in Auschwitz, and how big and how truly large this camp was. So then we're going to get into, as you're reading, Eliezer versus Elie. And Eliezer is the one who lived through the horror. He is the young man that lived through the actual account of the Holocaust, where Elie is the grown-up man who has survived it. So when you're seeing Eliezer versus Elie, think Eliezer is the young boy and Elie is the man looking back on the perspective. What this does, guys, is having his two different perspectives. This creates a psychological distance that allows Elie, the grown man, to go back and revisit the events of the Holocaust, and it allows him to process what happened to him as almost if it was someone else. It's not that he's crazy and he's taking on multiple personalities. This is his way of understanding what he's been through in the past, and that he's made it through, and that he has survived, and that now he is Elie. Okay, so after Elie is liberated from the concentration camp, he takes a 10-year vow of silence where he just does not talk about the events of the Holocaust to anyone, to anything. Those are just his personal memories in his time that he gets to have as his own. Then he takes that 10 years of silence, and after that 10 years of silence, he starts working on the book Night. And 15 years later, after he was released and liberated from the camp, Night was released in its first edition. Okay, so that's why we get the two different personalities versus Eliezer and Elie. It's a way of him being able to cope and tell the story without reliving them, okay? All right, so our unit goals and objectives, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at how we can value collaboration in the online learning environment. And this, you're going to start this unit with creating a wiki with your classmates. You're going to be working on reading strategies and background knowledge, and how inference and questioning and text connections and structural patterns can help you understand reading better, what you're reading better. We're going to look at word study and how connotation versus denotation can change, and euphemism, and how what we say can really take on a new light. And really, I want you to see new insights to humanity in general, okay? Another piece of powerful literature here, this quote: "There may be times where we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time where we fail to protest." Again, this comes away with, you have to find your voice, and you have to be able to use your voice when it's appropriate and when you need to. And there may be times when you're not able to use your voice, but you can't just sit back. You have to still protest it, even if you're not, even if you don't think you're being heard. So our reading schedule is kind of going to look like this. We are going to be reading sections 1 and 2 for session 1, sections 3 through 5 for session 2, and session 3 you're going to finish the novel, and then session 4 we'll come back and we'll work on the final reading project. That's kind of just an overview of this unit. And now we're going to talk about the dialectical journal just for a second. So hold on just a second while I pull that up. Okay, kiddos, so this is the page where I explain your dialectical journal and how to keep it. So there is a template that all you have to do is click into and file, of course, make a copy, okay? You need to make sure you make a copy of that. And then what you're going to be doing here is you need 3 quotes per section. So you're going to need, you're reading sections 1 and 2 this session, so you're going to need a total of 6 quotes. And the quotation is something that struck you, that as soon as you read it, you were like, wow, I need to process this quote a little bit more, because there are going to be several times throughout your reading when you're hit by what you're reading. And you're going to need to choose 6 quotes. And really, this is the quote and how you responded to the quote. Why is that quote so important? So when you are looking at the quote, why is it important? What effect does it have on the reader? And even bigger, what effect does it have on the characters within the novel? Remember, each of these characters is not just a character. They were a living, breathing human being. So when you're processing the quotes about them, keep that in mind, that these are real live human beings. Maybe names have been changed, maybe certain items have been changed to protect their identities, but these were real people and these were real things that were happening. And so on your analysis, you're writing your response. What reflections, what connections? Do you have a prediction? Do you see a relationship forming? This is where you and the book really get to interact together. You can't really be wrong on your dialectical journal. You need to extend or elaborate more on things, okay? So where you're going to be missing points on this assignment is if you're not getting to that analysis. So really think about why it's important, why it was included, and what effect did it have on the character involved, okay? So for each one of these sections right now, you are going to need 3 quotes, and since you're reading 2 sections in this first one, a total of 6 quotes, okay? Other than that, you guys, there's a little part 2 at the bottom of this, and make sure that you are answering each of the questions for part 2, because if you're missing those parts, you're going to miss points on your overall grade for the week. All right, let's see, I'm just going to look through my notes here real quick and make sure I'm not forgetting to tell you anything. Okay, nope, that looks good. I think I went through everything. So if you need help or you have questions on anything from this session, please let me know. I'm always happy to help, and I'm looking forward to starting this novel with you. Again, you do not need to go out and buy a hard copy. I have included a PDF of the text for you in the materials, so don't feel like you have to go out and buy a book, okay? All right, let me know if you have any other questions or if you need anything, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.